I figured this would finally be my year. My wife and I hoped that her memoir would be ready to be released by about December, and after that things would finally start to come together for us. But no! Of course, another curveball came our way. Another little bump in the road. Had to make sure that everything bad happened stayed up to date, nice and fresh and disturbing. The difference this time, though, is while I have another health issue coming along, you'll be here with me to watch it unfold in real time. Hello friends, welcome to Mr. Snayl's Wild Ride. I am Mr. Snayl and the wild ride is my life so far. You know, except for how much I hate exercise, I try to be responsible about my health. I get a physical every year with blood work and the whole deal. But this year, the lab work came back really out of whack. I learned quite a while ago that it takes a very long time to get any sort of answers about a major medical development or what to do about it. There's lots of waiting and wondering and worrying between when you find out something is amiss, until you find out exactly what it is that's wrong, until you find out what it is that you can do about it. You know, it seems like with each step, you think you're going to get some sort of answer, but it winds up just being another information mirage, until you just discover that you need another test or some additional kind of consultation or something. As far as my current condition goes, I don't have much to tell you. We're right at the beginning of everything, and we're waiting to hear more information. And the rate that I get this information may take a while just because of how this whole process works. But as soon as I know something, I'll let you guys know. So that said, I can use the last significant diagnosis I got last year as a way of sort of illustrating how long the whole process can take without anything really significant happening along the way to delay anything. A few years ago, right after we moved into this new house, there were a couple of things that periodically bugged me. One of them was, occasionally when I would go in or near the laundry room, there were these bad smells. It was sort of like sewage, but not really. This happened to me a lot. And I kept thinking, is it the cat box? Is it sewer gases coming up from the floor drains? Maybe it's mold in the washing machine. And I would stick my head, in the cat box and in the washing machine. Whenever I got close to any of these potential sources, nothing. I didn't smell anything. And I would ask other people, do you smell that? Do you smell that? No. But it didn't happen all the time, so whatever. The other thing that happened occasionally was I would hear these annoying sounds once in a while. Now, our house makes all kinds of noises, and it took us a good year or two just to get used to all the different beeping, buzzing, hums, and all that stuff. But these other sounds were sort of like electronic whines, or sounded like distant traffic or something like that, and I could never figure out what it was. So I never gave that much thought either. Then things really started to roll a little over a year ago. I'd already been experiencing these mood swings which were sort of out of character for me. Last March, I had my annual physical, blood work and the whole deal. Everything came back normal, but emotionally things had not been normal for a while. There were some other strange things happening too. Most of them weren't troubling at first because they're the kind of things that happen to everybody once in a while. Like you'd walk into a room and you'd forget why you'd gone in there. Deja vu, headaches, difficulty recalling words. Deja vu. The problem was that they were happening more and more frequently, and altogether, as a clustered event, was really notable. And as time went by, my mood swings were getting more and more extreme. These bursts of anger, uncontrollable sobbing, sometimes even happiness, none of which had any real-world triggers. It was getting disturbing. And then there were other mental issues, like I'd have these hour-long conversations with my wife, and the next day I would have no recall at all that I'd had the conversation. Nothing she'd say would jog my memory. I would say to my wife, I don't even know why this stuff is happening. And when I did have some moments of clarity, I would think, what could be going on here? That's the end of March, right? We waited out for about 3 months, longer than we should have. But like most people, you kind of wait for it to go away. And it didn't abate, so we finally scheduled an appointment with my psychiatrist. And it was June by then, which is about time to see him anyway. Told him the whole story from the beginning. He actually changed my diagnosis. He also prescribed some new medication, clonazepam, which is an anti-anxiety medication. He also added LAMOTRIGINE, which is a common treatment for bipolar disorder and virtually has no side effects. Virtually. Of course, like most psychotropic drugs, lamotrigine has a 5 to 6 week ramp up. So this is June, which means it's going to be like mid-July before we can know for sure if it's working. By August, I was at the full dose, and I was really experiencing very little relief. Now, by this point in time, I had started my YouTube channel, which fortunately gave me something that was on a schedule and required me to focus on something else. But I was fed up. I was convinced that there was something medically, neurologically wrong with me. There wasn't anything showing up on the blood tests. The psychotropic drugs were not offering me any relief. And I'd been thinking about it when I could, remembering the auditory experiences and those olfactory experiences in the laundry room that no one else could ever corroborate for years. And at this point, my hallucinations had expanded somewhat. I'd had a couple different visual disturbances where it sort of looked like out of the corner of my eye something was scurrying by. We live in the country, so we have mice occasionally, but I turned and looked and there'd be nothing there. And the auditory stuff in particular had become more frequent and more varied, like it would sound like there was a television on in a distant room, or like there was a radio on. And I could even tell you like the kind of music that was playing on this non-existent radio in a faraway room that wasn't there. And it would go on for a long time, it was irritating. I started to wonder if I had some form of epilepsy because I had heard stories and read things about these kinds of sensory hallucinations having something to do with that. So it's mid-August, and I call my general practitioner again because what else am I going to do? It was very blunt on the phone. I'm having hallucinations, severe depression, and suicidal ideation because I can't take it anymore. And they got me in as soon as they could. It was about a week and a half because she has other patients. And when I finally saw her, I said, I got to rule out everything. So I got the referral for the neurologist. They wanted to schedule the EEG and the doctor's appointment on the same day because it was coming from far. And the soonest they could get me in was about the end of August. So a couple more weeks, because he has other patients too. I drive up there, I have the half-hour EEG, it was awful. Then I meet with the doctor, he gives me the standard touch your nose, walk a straight line. Then we say goodbye and schedule a follow-up appointment to go over my EEG results. Turns out it's going to be another 20 days, for whatever reason that is. So we drive home, and we wait, and continue to endure me for 20 more days. September 19th comes around, my next appointment with the neurologist, and we go over the EEG. I asked him if I could take home a copy of the thing, and he recoiled. It was surprising how strong his reaction was. It was like I wanted to take away his diploma. It's my brain. They're my test results. I paid for them. I'm not taking away his only copy. It's in the computer system. I don't get it. I just wanted a picture of the squiggly lines. There were lots of big squiggly lines. Lots of seizure activity. I was right. I had epilepsy. Complex left temporal lobe epilepsy. Mild but significant. And if you jump onto the interweb, you can see that everything I'd been experiencing, those are symptoms of temporal lobe epilepsy. So he prescribes another drug, TOPIRAMATE. It's another anti-epileptic, also used for migraines. Another one that has a slow ramp up, about 4 weeks. More waiting. The whole while, my wife and I are counting the days between explosive crying jags. That's how we're measuring the efficacy of all of these new meds that we keep having introduced. How long does it take between crying jags? So after about the second week on this new med, the TOPIRAMATE, it's about the halfway point of the ramp up, I hadn't had a crying fit. That was something. More than 6 months since this whole process began. The last notable milestone in the whole story was November 7th. It was my follow-up with the neurologist. Just wanted to see if my symptoms were managed, that I had no significant physical side effects. Of course, I was complaining about the minor side effects. He wasn't concerned. If my epilepsy was managed, that's what he was concerned with. All in all, it's a really long time. From all of the experiences my wife and I have had with hospitals and doctors, we've learned a couple of things. One is, sometimes things just take time. Coordinating multiple people, multiple schedules, everything's a game of telephone, but it doesn't always have to take time. You can and must always Advocate for yourself. And if you're not in a position to do so for whatever reason, you've got to have someone advocate for you. This is especially true if you're in the hospital. But even if you're just at an appointment or whatever, this means asking questions, pushing for clarity if there's anything that you don't understand. Don't just smile and nod like I'm prone to do. Ask why. Keep asking why, or why not, or why things are one way or not another, or whatever. Don't let them brush you off. Don't feel dumb. Don't be embarrassed. This is your life you're talking about, your health. You only get one go round at this, and you're the customer. Everything is optional. You don't ever have to do anything that they tell you if you're not comfortable or you don't understand. So make sure you understand. It's your life. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe if you want to find out what the hell's wrong with me now. Hang in there. We'll see you next Thursday. One of the things that bugged me, I had my annual physical with blood work. No. Periodic. No. Have forgotten. What? Without any sort of, whoops. Strike that.